If you would not mind, Jacob, there's actually some other news I would like to quickly insert into the discussion topic, just very briefly. Two things specifically. One is Hasbro CEO Chris Cox has recently announced that after the box office failure of Transformers 1, Hasbro is no longer funding any movies based on Hasbro franchises. If someone would like to make a movie, Hasbro will still be willing to license out their franchises, but they will no longer be backing them financially.
Interesting. Huh.
And as well as that, um, this one's the most interesting. Hasbro is actually currently in a lawsuit with their investors for lying about why their finances have been looking so down. Um, Basically, from what I've gathered, the short of it is because Hasbro's been lying to their investors about warehouse overstock and blaming the profit decline on low toy sales instead of the mismanagement of the company.
So, in other words, the top's trying to blame the bottom, and the bottom got wise and whistle blew.
Yep.
Nice. And I don't think my voice was actually properly recording there at the beginning. So, just as a oops, Matt Gates dropped out, haha, and Google antitrust breakup was the other thing. I'm not going to start this over. We're just going to go. This is human. This is human element. We're 169 of the flameflash.net podcast in case that didn't get recorded either. And let's launch into the Game Awards.
Yeah, so I think we should start just with the simple question of, does anybody have a game that they wanted nominated for the Game of the Year spot, but it just didn't happen?
Space Marine 2.
Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2 is mine, yep.
And
Nail
it's
Fury?
I
Anything?
agree with Helldivers.
All right.
Unsurprising.
Yeah. But past that, I think we can just go through some of the notable categories for nominations and discuss opinions on those.
all right. I like that
So,
idea.
yeah, Game of the Year itself. So nothing I wanted to make the cut made the cut. But we have Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, the expansion, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor Refantasio, if I'm saying that right.
Elden
So
Ring is the least surprising of all of those to be on that list.
But it's not a Game of the Year, it's a DLC.
it's an expansion, yeah, and people are not very happy that it's there.
It shouldn't be there at all because it's an expansion. It should get expansion of the year, potentially, but not Game of the Year.
It should be its own nomination. So, I mean, out of all of those games, I would maybe vote for Astrobot or Black Myth Wukong, but nothing else jumps out at me. I know Final Fantasy's good. I know Balattro's good, but
I'm I haven't played any of these, but I personally would also vote Black Myth Wukong.
Now,
Just because I've heard of how like well it translates the mythology and how good of a game it is generally.
and that's one I haven't even heard about. The Metaphor and the Wukong, I hadn't heard anything about either of those.
so Black Myth is basically a Souls-like, is my understanding, and then
It,
Metaphor is a JRPG. So
So we have two
from what I've
JRPGs, two Souls likes, a platformer, and then basically a card game.
yes,
Huh. And a partridge in a pear tree. Uh, yeah. Rebirth deserves it. Rebirth um, suffered because of being PS5 exclusive, and the sequel to the remake, but I've only heard good things of those that have played it. It's just a lot of people did not pick it up because it's not. I didn't even pick it up because I haven't gotten through the first one yet.
Yeah, I did start Final Fantasy VII. I never got far, so that was kind of that for me. Other games just got my attention better.
I'm not much of an RPG fan, especially those types. I mean, I've been working on a KOTOR 1 playthrough for about the past 10 years, so.
Yeah, that seems about right.
So, in other words, game of the year, snooze of the year. There's some good games there, but one of the best for this group isn't even mentioned.
No, it'll be mentioned further down the road here, but I mean,
which I guess would be a great segue. Best game direction looks like it's also the same list for pretty much.
Yep, best narrative? Game direction is the same games we just talked about. Best then, narrative?
Yep.
Yeah, which as far as best
Uh-oh. He's dropping out.
All right. Well, we will skip game direction because, I mean, we haven't played any of them, so I don't think we get a say. But best narrative, I just have one quick comment. There's Final Fantasy VII, Hellblade 2, Silent Hill 2. I mean, any of these games could get it and deserve it. Metaphor is also on there. I personally would probably vote Hellblade 2. I haven't played it, still stuck on Xbox, but Hellblade 1 was amazing.
Okay.
But any of the games in that category deserve it.
Yeah, because now we're getting into, story-driven and a question of game direction. We're not into game of the year where one of them is a DLC, and that's still something they should be dinged on horribly. And I think they are, aren't they? They're getting yelled at pretty strongly.
Yeah, there's some discourse in the gaming community, so...
when did Mario Wonder come out? Was that this year or was that last year?
I think it was last year.
Okay.
That's the same problem I ran into as far as nominations go, is a lot of the games that I picked up this year that I really enjoyed playing were last year. This year, for me, honestly, has been a very slow year for games.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, which is why we've played so much of the games that we do have. And also, yes, October 20th, 2023 for Mario Wonder. So interesting that you mentioned that, because Nintendo is barely here. Nintendo barely has a presence at all in any of these categories.
Yeah, I was just noticing that as we scrolled through, and like art direction would have been Wonder for me, except it sounds like it missed the cutoff and is technically last year.
Yeah.
To be fair, like most game companies this year, it seems like 2024 has been a slow year for game releases.
Yes.
For triple A.
For the triple A's. Yep.
For sure.
Like me personally, have we talked about narrative yet, or?
Yeah, I mean, we lightly touched on narrative there, but you cut out too.
Do you have like a quick vote you want to throw at that one, or?
Me personally, honestly, for narrative, the one that would probably... You know what? No, that's not fair. I would have said Sonic X Shadow Generations purely from the Shadow gameplay, but I'm pretty sure if I said that I would have voted that instead of Silent Hill 2, someone could legally stab me. So...
Well, Silent Hill 2 is a remake, correct?
Yeah.
As in Sonic X Generations.
Remakes.
So
yeah, that's the thing, is a lot of the games this year are remakes or remasters with additional content.
Even Rebirth is a remake. It's a
true remake.
It's a true remake. They burned it all down, took the script, and then rebuilt from the script.
Yeah. And so,
I mean, I'm probably just fanboying Final Fantasy because that's been a game series near and dear to my heart forever. but
You're fanboying a little bit. We can see through it.
Yep.
But that's okay.
Yeah, RPGs aren't really my standard form of game that I like to play, so that's the reason why I'm like, I don't have a dog in most of these fights.
Yeah, and a couple of these we just won't, because I know for a fact that most of us haven't played many of these. So we'll actually skip through some of these categories because we don't need to hit every single one. Innovation and accessibility, I just do want to have a shout out to Dragon Age the Veilguard. I've heard some crazy things about the optimization and the settings and the options that you have available to you as a player. So just a shout out to that. That does get my vote. Haven't played it, but heard great things about what it can do for you. So
yes, indeed. I've heard amazing things from the Dragon Age series, period. And so, yeah, good on them.
We've tried getting into the Dragon Age series. It just didn't stick.
Yeah. And then Star Wars Outlaws, that's Ubisoft, and I do my best to avoid Ubisoft like the plague.
I've heard I don't know much about the optimization and those types of settings, but I've heard that Star Wars Outlaws is a very it exists game. It is the Ubisoft game of Ubisoft games. I have a couple of opinions regarding its narrative, but I'm not sure if I should discuss them because it involves a certain character showing up who really shouldn't have.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll avoid spoilers since it's the whole, it's this year, and as we all just admitted, none of us are playing anything from this year for the most part. So,
not right now, no.
Yeah, I will just throw out the paying $150 for the deluxe edition. It sounds like highway robbery, and from what I've heard of the general consensus, people who paid for the Star Wars Outlaws Deluxe Edition feel robbed. So,
yeah, they probably shouldn't have bought it.
Anyone who did, you have my condolences. But I mean, at this point, if you're a Star Wars fan playing Star Wars games, you should be aware of the fact that you don't buy the deluxe edition right out the gate, because the quality of Star Wars games as of late has been decent to bad.
Yep.
Side note on that, I pre-ordered the deluxe edition for Suicide Squad, and looked how that turned out.
Ouch. Okay.
I paid for the regular edition, and to let you know my opinions on that game, I pawned it.
Ouch.
Yeah. First 4 hours are good. They're fun. That's what I have to say about in terms of positive.
Poor Suicide Squad.
You hit the halfway point of the story, and you might as well just turn off the controller and throw the game in the bin.
Yep. Anyway, next category. This one I think should be interesting, and we should have a lot to talk about on this one. Best ongoing game. So I'll read off what all is in this category. We've got Destiny 2, Diablo 4, the Final Fantasy MMO, Fortnite, and Helldivers 2.
Out the gate, Helldivers should win. Purely because of the way they do their battle pass and their store system. The fact that battle passes stay around in Helldivers, brilliant fucking move. And I love it.
I am on the exact same boat. It should change the game. Every single other live service game that has a battle pass should do what Helldivers 2 is doing.
Amen to that. I'm not sure it belongs in the ongoing category, but because it's this year, but otherwise I agree. That's one of the aspects, the innovation of the battle pass system, that should therefore be in the game of the year. Is there an innovation category? Because that's frankly a brand new innovation that everyone should be copying, like I said.
Sadly, no. Innovation and accessibility, but innovation in all other terms, there is not a category for. So,
gotcha.
In terms of Fortnite being here, sure, Fortnite could get it. I mean, I guess it technically deserves it. Fortnite doesn't need it. Fortnite has gotten its praise. Whatever. Fortnite can be there, but
Fortnite's gotten enough awards. It doesn't need more. I understand why it's there, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
However, since I am the Destiny player here, I'll take over discussion of Destiny 2 if you guys don't mind.
go ahead.
My opinions regarding Destiny 2 as a live service are that Bungie has tried for a formula for the past 4 years to make a proper live service formula, and they succeeded for about a year. However, now the system is too repetitive, it's too formulaic. They've practically gotten rid of the live service aspect, with the sense that this year they changed it where instead of weekly content drops, they're doing monthly content drops. And as well as that, the story, the best way I can describe the way that the ongoing story feels right now, it is running in place. Destiny is on a treadmill. It is not going anywhere, but it is moving.
So basically, why is Destiny 2 here?
Yeah,
Bungie and money.
My opinion, genuinely, Destiny 2 should not be in the live service spot, because as far as a live service game goes, Destiny 2 is awful. However, one thing I will give it, and this is why I think it's been miscategorized, Destiny 2, The Final Shape, deserved a DLC nomination. Because it is genuinely the best story experience Bungie has made probably ever. And I know that might be a controversial opinion for my Taken King fans out there. I just played through the Taken King. It's a good expansion. I think Lightfall story-wise is genuinely better. And the Pale Heart as a destination, probably better than the Dreadnought.
So pointing one thing out there, Merce, that will make everybody mad. You did just say you think Lightfall is better. You meant the Final Shape right there, right?
Yeah, I meant the Final Shape. Sorry, I get the names confused.
You said... Okay. But, like, there's so many other games that could have hit live service. There's First Descendant. There's plenty of new shooters that just came out for free. And there's almost anything would have been better than Destiny 2.
Though we should probably pour one out for Concord.
Oh, poor Concord.
Oh, you mean the game that flopped so badly it killed the game studio before it could even get started?
Exactly. I really feel bad for the employees on that one, because they poured their heart and soul into basically an Overwatch clone, and then nothing happened.
People don't even want to play Overwatch anymore, let alone an Overwatch clone.
The only Overwatch clone I'm actually excited for is Marvel Rivals, and that's because it is Overwatch, but you are playing characters that you actually care about, which that was my biggest problem with Overwatch, and that is why, and I feel like that's the same thing a lot of people had a feeling about, and that's why the second that they announced that the campaign was done, it killed the game. Overwatch is a good game with a good story that you cannot experience unless you buy external media.
Yep.
True that.
In other words, it's the same problem people had with Destiny 1, but worse because Bungie eventually listened. Meanwhile, Blizzard just shot themselves and died.
It's back to that Battle Pass system. If Blizzard steals the Battle Pass system of Helldivers, I think that would breathe new life into Overwatch.
I think it would.
The only reason I think they won't do it is because, technically speaking, it would be short-term loss for long-term gain. And if there's one thing that companies this year have proven, especially when it comes to live service, they are unwilling to do the short-term loss for long-term gain.
Yep.
That is why Helldivers 2 is so monumental. They're willing to take the fact that when they drop a battle pass, people won't buy it right away. but they'll buy it eventually. And that's why Helldivers 2 is being so monumental. They're willing to take the loss of money at the start for potential sales later down the road. And that's something that game companies just aren't willing to do anymore. And not just game companies, companies in general aren't willing to do that anymore.
Yep. That's for sure. They want their money right away, right now, right now. So, continuing down the list, I think we can skip best community support with the conversation we're having right now. It goes to Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
If Destiny is even on that list, I'm just going to start laughing because Blizzard has been, or not Blizzard, that's Overwatch, but they've been ignoring their Bungie has been actively ignoring their community for years. And not only that, but with the constant round of layoffs and what the CEO specifically is doing, shout out to his classic car collection, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Bungie is a laughing stock as far as community interaction goes.
Now, I will say Baldur's Gate 3 and the developers there making it more moddable as they bow out and leave the stage and go develop something else. That means Baldur's Gate 3 will become a platform like Skyrim, a platform like Stardew, where people mod it to unrecognizable levels and it will just survive. Fallout being another example. Folks mod these games so hard and basically develop within them.
And Baldur's Gate specifically being a Dungeons and Dragons game, that is insane because the mod potential of that is crazy. Like off the top of my head, I can think of multiple mods, including mods possibly so that way you could play all of the Critical Role campaigns.
Yeah, exactly. So, so community support wise, Helldivers is way up there, especially with all the story content that they love to push out with their updates and how much they listen to their community. But Baldur's Gate 3 would definitely be my other top contender in that one. No Man's Sky is amazing. It's been around forever. It's listening to the community, etc. But it's Baldur's Gate 3 or Helldivers for me.
Helldivers specifically, I consider higher up there just because when Sony forced them to change how the protocol for signing up for an account on Helldivers works, and they got a lot of flack for it, even though it was something Sony made them do, they backpedaled on it within the week.
Yep.
Like, there wasn't a month of wait time. It was a few days.
And then they told Sony where to stick it, and then they continued going hoo-wah and diving, and it hurt the game, but they recovered.
Yes, I agree. So, moving on, just to the category I feel is most relevant to us. There's independent. I don't think anybody's played anything there or in debut of this group. Mobile, we'll skip. We're not mobile gamers. The VR nomination category, Batman will probably win it.
Arkham Shadow deserves it purely for the fact that, among other things, it proved not only is there potential still within the Arkham universe and the franchise, but also it helped actually give hope back to the people who are fans of Rocksteady and prove the fact that Justice League, that Suicide Squad was a fluke. It was a massive fluke, but it was a fluke.
Well, it just goes back to Rocksteady should not have been drug into the games of service era at all, and that was Suits trying to make money and not understanding the gaming environment, period.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So,
from what I've gathered about the Suicide Squad development, it was a mess. It should not have happened.
Yep.
And Arkham Shadow proves it even more. Rocksteady cannot do live service, and they shouldn't be forced to.
hopefully we get a Batman Beyond Arkham.
Oh, that
Emphasis on the Beyond.
bring in Terry
I have
McGinnis, you
heard-
mean?
Yep.
Oh, that would
I
be
have
amazing.
heard a lot of rumors about them doing a Batman Beyond game.
That
I've
would be
heard
amazing.
Even more rumors than the Superman game that we have not seen hide nor hair of.
Yeah.
Superman 64.
always-
There should not be another Superman game.
I think it's time for them to try again, but we'll see how it goes.
I trust Rocksteady.
Yes. Anyway, best action game. I'll read off the list here. We've got Black Myth Wukong, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, and Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. Now, this is a tough category.
Me personally, y'all already know where my vote is. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, its combat system has been mastered. It is a very well-developed combat system, and it is such a blast to play.
See, all of these games are quality. I
Yes.
do not think Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is going to get this, but any single other one could.
Yes. High quality.
As a-
Stellar is just a solo, like single player, unlock a bunch of costumes for your sexy avatar and otherwise blast through a great story, correct?
Correct, yes.
And then the others, yeah, it's a toss up.
I
As
mean,
a side note,
I will vote for Helldivers 2. I interrupted you, Merce. Go ahead.
no, you can go ahead. I was gonna go off on a rant and punch Bungie down some more.
Oh, okay. We'll move on then.
Yeah,
I think you've drop kicked Bungie in the crotch already.
we can
I-
tell
I
that
was
we've got
just-
an angry Destiny fan in the group.
I was just going to say, Games Workshop, one of the infamously most money-grubbing corporations on the planet. The fact that they've made the first year of content free proves to me how it's like other companies don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
I
Games
would have named
Workshop
that
is
Bungie.
Warhammer 40k, by the way, for everybody who
Yeah.
doesn't know.
Yeah, Games Workshop, they're the masterminds behind the tabletop Warhammer 40k game and all the bits of fiction connected to it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, the first year of Warhammer content, aside from some costumes and cosmetic stuff, is completely free. So that is very notable.
Very notable. Just like Helldivers 2.
Yes.
It's buy
so
it
far.
and they're funding themselves off of the war bonds. That's it.
Yep. So I'd say in this group, I could easily switch my vote to Warhammer 40k. I'm going to have it in Helldivers just because I've clipped Helldivers quite a bit more than I have Warhammer, and I have just clips and videos sitting in my PS5 that I would want to rewatch more than the clips I have of Warhammer. But I have also played Helldivers 2 a lot more, so that could change later.
Yep.
I would also vote Helldivers, but that's just because Warhammer 40k, it's a temporary thing. We don't even know how much the seasons are fully going to cost yet,
True.
but just the fact that Helldivers doesn't retire its battle pass system, monumental.
Yep.
For sure. Anybody else have anything to say about that category, or do we move on?
I think we're good.
Okay.
I said
Best
we move on
action.
before I go on another rant.
Okay. Best action adventure. I do have something to say, just really quick. I think it's the only time that Nintendo's mentioned. in this whole thing.
Seriously? Wow.
The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom was nominated for Best Action Adventure. I voted for Astrobot. No, I didn't play it. Silent Hill 2, that should be in its own category of horror. I don't think horror games are the same thing as action adventure games.
And even then, some ride the line like the Resident Evil series. The Silent Hill series does not.
It's a horror game. So,
Now, you mentioned voting. Is there a place for us to actually vote, or is this more who you hope to win?
No, you can vote yourself on the Game Awards website.
There we go.
Yes, so just go make an account, confirm your email, and go and vote. I've already done it for myself, so.
I was waiting until after this discussion to put my votes in.
I'll have to go do that. Yes, because I haven't yet either.
Best RPG. I don't think any of us have played the RPGs this year. I did play Dragon's Dogma 2. I liked it quite a bit. The Elden Ring expansion is here, so is Final Fantasy VII. I think one of those will probably get it. I'm okay with the Elden Ring expansion being here. I just don't want it being nominated for Game of the Year.
Exactly.
And the worst part is, given the Elden Ring fandom, it does have a decently large chance of actually winning, which would be very upsetting, but also very funny.
Yeah. Best fighting game. We've got. For me, it's down to the Marvel vs. Capcom collection or Multiverses, personally.
Okay.
We've also got Tekken 8, Dragon Ball, and the last one I don't even know what it is. Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. If I'm even saying, if that's even how you say it.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I'm gonna just throw out the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting collection. This is the first time since the Dreamcast that you have been able to physically own some of these games legally. So the fact that they have been resurrected and released just as they were is pretty darn cool for just a collector aspect, just for a game preservation aspect.
Yes,
I don't think it should win, but it's good that it exists.
Yes, whether you're a collector, a fan, you want to play these games for yourself, you should probably buy that collection, honestly.
It's monumental for what it is. Again, not sure if it should win. I don't know. I'm very out of touch with the fighting game community. This is very not my court to fight in.
Yep.
Unintended.
I like Injustice and Mortal Kombat. Street Fighter, nah.
All I will say though is because of how disastrous the open beta, as they called it, was, which, come on, that was just a first launch. They launched the game, it went terribly, they relaunched the game. It wasn't a beta.
Multiverses was a mess, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gotten better. I just know in the past, back when it was quote-unquote in open beta, it was a disaster. Come on, you don't release battle passes as part of an open beta.
No.
Yeah.
You don't. That was a bad idea.
It was.
Very bad idea.
All right. So I got to correct myself. Best family game. There's several Nintendo games here.
Oh, there's a shocker. Okay.
Yep. So I'll read off best family game. I already voted, like I said. I'll read off my vote after I read off the games. We've got Astrobot, Princess Peach Showtime, Super Mario Party Jamboree, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and The Plucky Squire. I voted for Super Mario Party.
That makes sense.
Mario Party feels like a given.
Mario Party is pretty dominant
always
when it shows up as a family game. I will say Princess Peach Showtime is adorable, but it's single player. It's single player. And so that's not a family game except for when you say, as a parent, buy it for your 7-year-old, and then they're like, this piece is too hard, and they hand you the controller. But Jamboree, you get in there, you're playing it with your family, you're playing it with friends, and you go.
I've never understood this category because best family game. That should be a game you can play with your whole family.
Exactly.
So like you said, that's single player. So is Astrobot. So is Zelda. And I think the Plucky Squire's single player. I could be wrong on that. So Mario Party's the only multiplayer game. It's best family game. You can play this with your family.
Exactly.
Yeah, Mario Party is the only one that feels like it should win because it's the only one that is able to be played with the family.
Yeah.
All the others are single-player games you might give to your kid.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
I
And
mean, Helldivers 2 should really be here, but
but that's the thing.
Introduce them young.
Helldivers 2 is another game you could play with your family, laugh it up, joke around. Warhammer, how many can you get in there in a multiplayer match?
up to
Warhammer. I'd argue against Warhammer being a family game because of purely the amount of gore.
But families get together, and there are so many different ways to define family. It's not just you and kids under 13. It like a parent and kids under 13. This podcast here is basically a family unit of gamers. You know what I mean?
And most of us are over the age of 18.
Exactly. So,
Well, this is an excellent segue, just before we miss it, to the best multiplayer category.
excellent.
Best multiplayer overall. So, nominees for this: Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Tekken 8, and Warhammer
Oh, they're Warhammer.
40,000 Space Marine 2. All of these could get it, except for maybe Tekken 8, because that's only 2 players. You can have so many others in all the rest of the games.
Yeah, I'd argue Helldivers or Mario Party should win this.
So
Just because
how many can be in Warhammer at one time?
3.
Depends
Okay.
on the game mode. If you're doing the missions, it's 3. If you're doing the 1v1 multiplayer, or if you're doing the PvP multiplayer, 6. Or no, 6 per team, so 12.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, most of these games could get it. Even Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Call of Duty, it's a popular shooter multiplayer game. We're not big fans, I know, but I agree with Helldivers 2.
There are COD bros out there that would be, if they even listen to this, which they don't, would be screaming right now because yeah, it's Call of Duty. It's reliable. It is what it is.
You know what you're getting with
Exactly.
If
you
you're a
can
Call of
trust
Duty
Call
fan-
of Duty.
Yeah. If you're a Call of Duty fan and you ever hear this, go play Helldivers 2 with a full squad. You'll see what we're talking about.
Screw that. Even if you're not a Call of Duty fan, go play Helldivers. Just go play Helldivers.
Democracy.
So yeah.
Heresy. Wait.
Yeah. Wrong universe.
Best adaptation.
Yes, we've got. So this is video game, movies, TV shows, basically.
I think it's just TV shows. Looking at this list.
The list only has TV shows, I believe,
Right.
but it could be movies in years forward. So we've got Arcane, Fallout, Knuckles, Like a Dragon, and Tomb Raider. I know that you and Nail Fury have been watching Tomb Raider, so what's your opinion on that?
It's a really strong contender. It feels like you're just watching one of the classic games, or even the Angelina Jolie back in the day movies, which were also strong adaptations.
Okay.
I've only heard good things about Fallout, but I feel like this is a foregone conclusion because people describe Arcane as revolutionary.
Yes.
So I feel like that winning is inevitable.
Oh my goodness. I just literally watched the first 2 episodes of season 2 this morning. Go watch it. You
Yeah.
are missing out if you do not watch this TV show.
And
It's on Netflix.
If
I
you're a
have
video
seen it
game
on
fan,
I've seen season 1, and I would agree with you just based on season 1. I've watched a couple of episodes of Fallout, and yes, it's Fallout. It is undeniably Fallout. There's blood, there's sex, there's violence. It has everything that would appeal to the typical gamer male audience, but Arcane is probably going to win it, hopefully.
Yes.
Just from the
Knuckle-
depth of the story.
I mean, I'm sure Knuckles is great for your kids and your big Sonic fans. I might watch Knuckles sometime. Who knows? But
I've heard people say that Knuckles, while being a fun show, is not a good show centering on Knuckles because, well, basically the complaints I've heard is that Knuckles is a side character in his own story, which, to be fair,
He always is.
name a time in Sonic when he isn't at best a side character.
Right. Exactly.
yep, for sure. All right, in agreement there. So we've really only got one more category because after this, it's just esports stuff. So we have most anticipated game. So we'll choose games out of this list, and then we will go to most anticipated game personally for each of us, even if it's not on this list. And I think we'll call it there if that sounds good.
Perfect. We're basically over time anyway.
All right. So we've got Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei, which is the Ghost of Tsushima sequel, Grand Theft Auto 6, Metroid Prime 4, and Monster Hunter Wilds.
Having just gotten into the Metroid Prime series through the Metroid Prime 1 remaster, I'm actually excited about Metroid. I'll be honest.
I think that would have to be the pick for most of us in this group, correct?
Yep.
As a
All
side note, I want to point out how funny it is that unlike last year, Silk Song is not on here because who knows when Silk Song's coming out.
Welcome to development hell, Silk Song.
Exactly. I will say, however, I actually gave my vote to Grand Theft Auto 6.
Really?
Yep.
Isn't that still not out?
It's coming out
It's
next
coming out
year.
next
So these
year.
are the anticipated. What are you
So-
excited about for next year?
Well, personally, yeah, it's probably Metroid Prime 4. I gave my vote to GTA 6 because just the impact that will have when it releases on the gaming community as a whole. I'm looking forward to seeing what that does to people.
Here for
and
the
hearing
memes.
Congratulations, GTA fandom. After a full century, give or take, it's finally happening.
Exactly. So I did give my vote to GTA 6, even though personally I'd be more excited for Metroid Prime 4.
Sounds fair. That's where I would lean to based on this list. And unfortunately, right now I'm living under a rock, so I'm mostly focused on my backlog and, 40-hour
That's
work week, etc.
Yep.
that I
So,
feel is the same situation that we've all been in.
are there any other games on the horizon that aren't on this list that we should be excited about, though?
Yeah, does anything jump at anybody? Anything come to mind?
Not that I can think of, honestly.
Well, the only thing that's coming to my mind would involve more shitting on Bungie. So let me just say, I'm curious by the changes that Destiny will bring because they're removing the seasonal model and replacing it with 2 expansions a year. They're going back to this 2 expansions a year system that they had before Forsaken because apparently the seasonal model does not work and they desperately need funds because from what I've gathered, Bungie is on the verge of being sucked into Sony.
Nom nom nom.
That makes sense. Star Wars Eclipse. Anybody know what that is?
Oh, but we don't know when that comes out, do we?
We do not have a
wasn't-
release.
We don't
We
have a
don't-
release date.
Is Star Wars Eclipse even coming? I thought it was like soft canceled.
Nope, that was the KOTOR remake. That's
Ah,
technically canceled.
the KOTOR remake. Rest in peace.
If we
Yeah.
had a release date for that, that would hands down be my pick for most anticipated, only because it's from the same developer that gave us Heavy Rain, Become Human,
Beyond Two Souls.
Beyond Two Souls. Thank
I-
you. They are absolutely incredible with the story narrative, the art. I love them. The choice consequences. You can play these games so many times and come out with completely different results every single time.
I will admit I am a tad concerned about Eclipse, but that's because it was stated that it was released far too soon. Like that was a concept trailer, not an actual in development trailer, and it was a part of the Star Wars High Republic project, which was basically canceled after the failure of the Acolyte.
Yes, so let's hope for the best. The rumors kept saying that it looked like 2026 game anyway, which means we could hear about it next year. We could not.
Yep.
And we won't really know what happens to it unless we get a straight answer. Just it's coming or it isn't.
But then this developer takes a long time to consider how long it takes to make a standard game, a linear game. Now try to step 5 steps back and go, okay, if player chooses option 1, 2, 3, or 4, this is going to spiderweb out into a multitude of other consequences. So they have to make basically a multiverse of games in one game.
Yeah.
I'll admit, I am looking forward to Eclipse. I'm hoping it picks up what the Acolyte left off, because that is still technically a part of the canon timeline and a part of the canon past, which we do not know a lot about. But I am excited to play it as a game.
Yes. I do have a couple of other games that I'll just rapid fire mention in terms of anticipation. This one, not very long from now. I don't know how it didn't jump into anybody else's head. Marvel Rivals.
I mentioned it during the discussion of the live play when we talked about Overwatch.
Yep. We did talk about it a little bit earlier. That's this December. There is Civilization 7 in February.
I am so wary of that one just because I haven't seen much content of it. You know my history and love of the Civ series. So for me to go, I haven't even pre-ordered it. That's...
Yep.
I am waiting. I am putting my wait and see hat on, and I am full waiting on that. Had it come out this year, I mean, it's already been delayed once. So that's why the wait and see hat is being worn.
Yeah, wait for a couple more demonstration videos, see what it looks like.
Exactly.
And then we have Doom: The Dark Ages, which looks like it'll be great. Medieval Doom guy, that'll be fun.
Correction, the Doom Slayer.
Doom Slayer.
I like Doom guy personally, but
the Doom Slayer is a better name. We're not having this argument.
I actually have to go with Sword and agree. I like the Doom guy just because this is classic 90s heavy, hard, pixelated Doom. And he didn't have an official name. He was just the Doom guy because that's all we had.
And then somewhere along the way, we're supposed to be getting a Wonder Woman game as well. So.
Oh, really?
Yep.
But we don't know where that is.
We don't really have an update on it, but it's in the works. It's been in the works. It was announced a couple years ago, so
probably
I'm
Dev
assuming that's in the same. I'm assuming it's in the same cloud as Silksong, and more relevantly, the Superman game.
Wonder Woman, at least, she isn't at. Well, this would go off into another debate, and we're almost at an hour. Wonder Woman isn't as powerful all the time as Superman, so depending on where they depict her power level, it's at least going to be a lot more realistic than a Superman video game and Superman 64 where the health of Metropolis was if you failed or won.
Imagine like Heavenly Sword and Unreal Engine 5, but it's Wonder Woman with bigger and blunter weapons.
Yes, that would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Especially if she is basically going full on God of War and taking on the Olympian gods. Because then there's the power level equality of, okay, she could lose to Hades, you know?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Any other notes? Any quick mentions in the esports community? Because we skipped over that entirely before we end things here.
Well, where's the development for Wolverine?
Ooh.
That is true.
Ooh.
Wolverine's going steady, and it's Insomniac's star project right now. So however, it is probably a 2026 game and not a 2025 game.
But
Wolverine.
a good call out
does
there.
have me
Good call out.
Yes, that's a very good mention.
To quickly round off the Insomniac games, Wolverine has me curious. Venom, Lethal Protector, really excited. Spider-Man 3, hope it's more like Spider-Man 1 than Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 didn't click as well with me as Spider-Man 1. Terry, don't even start.
Oh, you're getting ready for
Terry,
an
start.
argument, my friend.
Terry, start.
We
I'm
are
gonna have
at
to go
an
pop some
hour.
popcorn
Do
and
not
watch
advance
this
to
one play out. Yeah.
I won't start because I could go on for a while, but
All
do
right.
not trash Spider-Man 2.
I'm not trashing it. I'm just saying it didn't click as well with me as Spider-Man 1. I thought Spider-Man 1 was a better story because it was a simpler story. That is
From
my
me-
opinion.
Okay, here's my opinion. From me to you, as somebody who's beat the lizard boss fight to somebody who hasn't, I have two words for you. Get
I've
good.
beaten the lizard. I have beaten the lizard boss fight. I played through that gauntlet and that pain in the ass. Mr. Negative is more annoying. We are not going to continue this argument because we can easily make this a 3-hour podcast if we start arguing about Spider-Man.
Do it.
And with that wonderful segment, we'll leave with the thought of get good. I love it.
Get
Get good.
So, thank you everyone for joining on a Video Game Awards 2024 nomination reaction podcast. And we're just going to point and laugh at the slimeball Matt Gaetz again for dropping out of the Attorney General run because I am basking in that karma catching up to that man. And if you have,
we are also going to cackle at Chris Cox for failing to run Hasbro.
Exactly. Greed will get you. Karma will get you eventually. Podcast at flameflash.net. If anybody wants to leave a comment, we also will read comments on YouTube since I got some last week and responded there. But thank you, everybody, for joining.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.